You never told anyone what you asked for. That dua, the one whispered between sobs, was only for Allah to hear. Your voice cracked when you said Ya Rabbī, not because you doubted, but because you were breaking, and you didn't know what else to say. No one saw what you were holding inside. You smiled outside, but in sujud, you broke. You begged, not for things, but for peace. Sometimes you didn't even finish the words, just tears, heavy breathing, the ache of a qalb too tired to articulate the pain. You thought maybe it didn't count. Maybe dua isn't valid if it's broken, if it's whispered through pain, not certainty. But it did count, even that. Even the dua you didn't finish was written, and Allah was always listening. No one taught us how to trust while grieving, how to make dua with a qalb full of fear and still believe in rahmah. You thought your silence meant you had no aman. But grief doesn't erase aman. Sometimes it just makes it quieter. You were afraid your dua was too broken, that Allah wouldn't hear it unless it was eloquent, strong, or full of sabor. You held back the tears. You thought they disqualified your devotion. But crying in dua is still worship. Even when you whispered His name with doubt, Allah knew you meant to return. He read between the pauses in your breath. You are not faithless for trembling. You are not distant for crying. Your dua is still seen, still written. Allah says, "Indeed, I am near. I respond to the invocation of the supplicant when he calls upon me." Al-Baqarah 2:186. That includes your tearful calls. You don't need perfect words. You just need sincerity. Allah doesn't rate your dua by grammar, but by how much your qalb is in it. Even if your dua was just one word, Ya Allah, whispered in pain, it reached Him faster than you can imagine. Tadabbur is not just reading the Qur'an. It's letting it touch you where no one else can, even the parts that still ache. Every ayah is a form of rahmah. It speaks into your silence, finds your cracks, and reminds you that healing was always sent. You were never alone in those whispers. Every time you said His name in pain, He was already near, and He still is. That broken dua was never ignored. Every whisper, every silent breath was a page already turning in your story of return. Healing doesn't always come with answers. Sometimes it comes as a slow peace, a softening of the places that once screamed. Ya Allah, the cry you made when no one saw you, will echo in ways you cannot yet imagine. It was already written. You may never understand how much mercy was hidden in those delayed answers. But one day, your qalb will thank Him for the wait. The Qur'an didn't leave you. It stayed open, waiting, for the moment you'd return, not just with words, but with your soul. You never had to be eloquent. You only had to be real. And you were. In pain, in silence, in whispers. And that was enough. If you're ready to begin again, gently, with guidance rooted in the Qur'an and Sunnah, we've prepared something soft for your journey. Find it in the description when your heart says it's time.